Hey, we're live. Can you see the video?
Hi. Yes,
Hi.
I see it.
Yes.
Good. How are you?
How are you doing?
I'm
Yeah,
hanging in there.
we already have someone, with us joining us live today. And I want to say thank you for joining us again. My name is Tola Makinde from Nigeria. Today I have with me Meeka Caldwell from Maryland. She's an
Yes.
author. Meeka, can you just for a second, like a minute, tell us about yourself?
Sure. So I'm Meeka Caldwell. I'm an author, mom, advocate in the Down syndrome community. We have 6 children altogether. So we have 3 little ones and 3 big ones. So we have three
Oh,
that's out the house, and then we have 3 little ones that's in the house. So my youngest, Anayan, who is 6 years old, has Down syndrome, and this pretty much sparked my advocacy efforts in the community when he was first born. So I've been trying to trudge away ever since to have Black and brown people, especially recognizing the community and build the community. So there's been a lot of challenges, but a lot of good stuff. And I'm happy to talk with you today. So we're going to have some fun.
yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, and welcome again to the third episode for this year on the series My Child Has Down Syndrome. So freaking wow. So today we yeah, I tell you
I
because
like that. I like that.
honestly, yeah, and sometime like when my daughter was like 2 years old, someone was whispering behind me and saying, "Oh, this child is sick. This child is sick. You need to go have another baby. Can someone tell her she needs to go have another baby?" Like seriously, I just ignored, that person because I knew for sure that a lot of people are just ignorant, and they really don't know what Down syndrome is. They feel having Down syndrome is the end of the world. And so I'd like you to take us through your journey. I mean, Anayan is such an awesome little boy. He celebrated his sixth birthday last week sometime.
No, that was my other daughter who had a birthday. She celebrated her 10th, her double digits, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. So, and Nine has his birthday in April. So, and he'll be turning 7 this year,
April what?
April 29th.
Okay, my daughter is April 13th. She's gonna be 10.
Oh, and my other daughter's April 16th. So we'll just celebrate that whole month.
Oh yeah, we should.
Yeah, we really should. Um,
Wow. What are you preparing for March, World Down Syndrome Day? And everyone all over the world, all over the globe is talking about World Down Syndrome. We'll be talking about World Down Syndrome Day. So what are you before we go to the main thing, we want to keep the main thing, but I mean, what plans have you got for Down Syndrome Day?
well, there's going to be a lot of posting. I'm in a group that kind of shares other posts with moms, and someone gave us a great outline of kind of what to post each day to just kind of bring awareness and to have people understand. It's great. And I'm sure they won't mind if I share it when I get it. But and then also we do like rock your socks. We post pictures, we post facts, and just celebrating.
Yeah.
So usually it's one of those things where leading up to it, we kind of figure out how months ago, figure out how Nine feels. Because some days he doesn't like taking pictures, he doesn't like taking videos. Um, so it's really up up to him how much we share and how much we do.
Do you know what I'm thinking? Can I ask you?
What
Um, are kids below 10, do you think they know they have Down syndrome?
I don't think so. And that's a great question. For me
Yeah.
personally, I don't think a nine knows. A nine is a nine, and he is just another little boy who's rambunctious and loves to tease his sisters as little brothers do. He's taken on that job wholeheartedly. So no, but I have told his siblings, um, maybe like 2 years ago, because they usually help him with stuff. They help him brush his teeth and they help him get his clothes. They also fight with him and all those types of things. So I think something came up, and I made a post on it on Facebook about one of the girls saying something about how he's still learning to talk, and like will he always be like that? And we just had a quick conversation just to say that he has Down syndrome, which means he just has an extra chromosome, which means he's just needs some extra help and he's extra special, and you all can be his helpers. But that doesn't mean that he does not know what he's doing. So he's fully aware and he's fully your brother.
Mhm.
He just happens to have Down syndrome. So they were like, oh, okay, that's why he's so cute and that's why we love him, all that too. but it's just like in the simple form. That's really all it is.
Yeah, boy, guess what? Because I work with a lot of them, like I support even the teenagers. Trust me, this is still in line with what we're going to be discussing today because now I'm having this kind of, like, I don't know why my mind is just flashing, all this kind of thought. Like, that at some point, I think it'll be good for them to know because eventually you want them to be self-advocates. I remember when my daughter
Oh,
was like a little bit younger, and my brothers
hmm,
were like, "Oh, why she always having this? Why she always having a way? Why she's this? Why she's that?" And for me, I thought for a second that this girl has been through a lot. She's had how many surgeries? Like she's been to the theater 3 times. She has a device in her head. Sometimes I just begin to feel, oh, let's treat her like, a little bit more like, let's pet her a little bit more. But all of a sudden, everything changed because I wanted her to know that she is beautiful, she is able, she's capable, she's got Down syndrome, and she has a voice. So
yes.
eventually they need to know. So some way in some way because definitely if they have fewer words, people around them could mock them, could like tease them, could like
Hmm.
so yeah, so that's another talk for another day. So let's move straight
Yeah.
what we have today. Can you share with us how early intervention works for you and Nayan?
Sure. So when Anaya was born, I think that's when it started. So when the hospital and the social workers know that they have a diagnosis and they come in and say, okay, what do you need? What help do you need? And this is what we can do for you. I didn't start intervention as far as like therapies until Anaya was maybe like 3 months, just because I was my baby and I didn't really feel like anyone in my house and doing all these extra things. But usually it starts with the county getting in touch with you and just letting you know these are the services that are available. So it could be speech, physical therapy, not occupational therapy yet, but then you start having, people come to your home and kind of being immersed in the community.
That's
And it,
amazing.
yeah, and it continues. I mean, we've done like speech since he was little and physical therapy since he was little, and then you can just choose how frequently and how much you need to do those things. I think that's a thing that a lot of new parents feel like they have to just jump into like, oh my gosh, I need all this therapy. Let me do this now. And we're usually just giving advice to say, just enjoy your baby. They don't have to do all these things now. When they start to crawl, they crawl. And a lot of physical therapy is done in your house. Like
Yeah.
I have videos of a nine like crawling and doing things that I had no clue he could do. And I felt like, let me stop
Hmm.
paying these people because all the steps, all the gyms we bought, all the toys, all that's physical therapy. And if he needs anything additional, where experts come in, then that's when we take him. But it's all up to the parent. And I think that's where some people don't think they have a choice or they have to do all these things every day, 3 times a week, schedule's hectic. And it becomes a little much after a while.
Okay.
So, and then yeah, you continue. You can do private, and when they get to school, that's a whole nother story. So it's available here.
Yeah, and I think sometimes like those, I mean, all of this put together could be very overwhelming. I think for the most part, parents need to like kind of try to absorb,
Yes.
accept. Oh wow, for me it was so crazy. Like, well, because I've been with a child with Down syndrome. Like, I'd been with a child like somewhere in the U.S. 7 years before I had my daughter. So when I was told, like, I didn't have to stay in denial for too long, but like it took a lot from me, like my sweat, my blood, like every time I just stare at, I'm like, they said you have Down syndrome, you're gonna be okay, right? You're gonna be okay. So, and sometimes I'm like, okay, am I just hallucinating? Am I just like dreaming? Am I? So a lot of, yeah, I mean, it's not like grieving, but sometimes you just need to take it a day at a time. And yeah, I believe you. I believe you. And how was acceptance for you? I mean, from the very beginning. Then let's move away from family for a bit.
Hmm.
Hmm. How was it? Yeah.
So for me, you mean me personally?
No, 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 not you personally. I mean, awareness. I mean, acceptance. People accepting your
Oh,
son.
okay.
Yeah.
You know what? we have so many stories. Like, I think when we first got the diagnosis, it was one of like shock. Like,
Wow.
wow. Like, because I had never met anyone with Down syndrome, especially anyone Black with Down syndrome. And I remember getting the diagnosis and asking the geneticist, like, oh, do you have a Black family I can talk to? Anybody? And they were like, no. So I had to go out and find my own network. But then in telling people, you're still having a baby, it's still an exciting time. And this was like our last one, because we had, this is our sixth child.
Wow.
But we came together as a blended family. So I birthed four, and I have two wonderful stepchildren. And telling people, you get all types of reactions. You get the, oh no, or he's gonna live with you forever, huh? How are you gonna deal with that? And oh gosh, and just pray it away. We have so many reactions, and then I felt like that equated to like how are you going to accept my child? Like when we go to different parties, when we have the girls integrated and stuff, like how is the acceptance? But I think after that first hurdle of kind of then telling people like, we're not sorry. We're in it to win it. And I think when they saw our attitudes and how we handled everything, that made it better. I think people look at the parents and go, like, how are they feeling? Because if they're feeling a little weary, then we want to make sure we support however we can. But we just made sure it was never a negative thing. And we would kind of joke and laugh, like with doctors, like when they said stuff. And it's like, it's okay. You can say it. You don't have to whisper it. Like, he has Down syndrome. Bam, let's get it out. Let's go from there. And so it's been like, family's been good, friends been good. Some friends, they drop off. You just handle it how you handle it and keep it moving. But
Yep.
the whole thing was just showering him with love and acceptance and just being there. And also kind of being open to answer questions, because sometimes people just don't know what to say. So they're stuck. So it's just, yeah, that's the part. And you just have to be like, and some days I'm just like, no, I don't feel like it. These are crazy questions. And some days I'm like, okay, I'm ready. You can ask me.
Some say sorry.
Yeah. Some say sorry and just like, for what?
But he told you sorry. I'll. So come on, tell me, how did you come about writing? Because okay, so honestly, are you an author because there was a kind of shift in your thinking or your life just changed after having a nine, or because you've always known one day you will be an author, or you just love to write books?
Oh, never knew. Never knew I was going to be an author. I love to read though, but writing, no. But honestly, going, as he grew up in school, he started school when he was 2 years old. And you would have, like, we have coming up, we have World Down Syndrome Day, you have Down Syndrome Awareness Month, you have all these things. And we usually try to go in and talk to children, talk to parents, and just kind of bring a book and just explain everything. Like when he first went to school, I gave a flyer to all this whole school, just a little mini, this is an IN, this is what it is, this is what you can do, all those types of things. But I noticed we didn't have any books that showcase Black children with Down syndrome. We had none. I looked. We rarely had any books that had children, period, with Down syndrome, but none with Black children. And I was like, no, I need something that can represent him and to represent our community. And we just gonna have to write it, like, because I was just tired of trying to figure out things to do. And I really wanted a book. I really wanted to show, especially also to help like his sisters too, and him. At this point, I think a lot of parents, when we advocate for the time that they're not able to because they're little. And then we hope that they can just in turn advocate for themselves. But when starting out as an author,
Wow.
it was strange. Like, I'm going to write this book. And I think I had the idea for like 3 years. And then finally, I was like, let's do this because
Wow.
I'm still missing that piece.
Hmm.
And
That's
so we
so
have two
amazing.
books.
So
Yeah.
okay.
So
Can you
I
tell
wrote
us
the
about the
first
first
one.
book? Yeah.
Sure, this is the first book. It's A Friend Like a Nyan. And I wrote this book, basically, it's about a nyan in the community and kind of what we're talking about today. So it just shows him going around to the grocery store, helping mom.
Mhm.
the cleaners, and how people know him. You know what I mean? So people can say hi, people can help him. And he
Mhm.
does have, delayed speech. He has some words, he has some sign language. If you know him, you know what he's saying. If not, it might be some things he's having to show you, but he's very, very um, open to communication. But this book was just showing him around the community. And I wanted people to know that there's no stigmas, there's no stereotypes. He's a boy like anybody else. He wants to help. So help. You know what I mean? If you have anyone in the community where you interact with them and they need some assistance, then assist. And so this was just him opening up and me showing the community to him and how we can all work together for the betterment of our children. That's what community is about. And then
Yes.
the second book was A Friend Like a Nyan. This one, the first day of school,
Okay.
because entering kindergarten, uh, that was that was extra. That was just a lot. I felt like it was a lot of convincing the school that he was worthy to be there. A lot of convincing the teachers, like, you can't teach him. I'll help you, but you can teach him.
Did all
Um,
that?
what'd you say?
Did all that like by yourself, like without teachers
Right.
having to think that okay, we're gonna support you. Your child has Down syndrome. Maybe we've seen cases like this before, or where the teachers not just like knowledgeable,
Mm-hmm.
you
Yeah,
two
that's
want to be educating like back to back. That's what I'm trying to say.
I think the teachers were afraid. That's all I can think of. They were afraid. I had a teacher say, I've just never taught anyone with Down syndrome. And so I'm like, so what do you think your hurdles are going to be? Like, it's not the same. He does need modifications, and he does have an aide that assists him day to day, because he likes to do things how he likes to do them. So we have to make sure he's safe. So that's basically someone just making sure that he's not in the hallway when he's not supposed to be, or grabbing something and things like that. And to just help him break down a curriculum that he, at his level. But I think they were just afraid. I think I had a meeting in the summer before school started. Like, I was like, let's talk about this, because I feel like I'm gonna have to go in fighting. And that's usually how I feel when I go into these situations. And it was just a bunch of convincing. They were just kind of stuck on, but what about him using the bathroom? And what about this?
Uh,
And I'm like, yes. I'm like, he does not use the bathroom 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Like, you know, so you don't have to worry. Like, he's good. You will have to assist him, but that's not the focus. The focus is his education and how we're going to do this as a team, because we're part of the team. And how can we help you help him? Because the focus is on him. So we need to make sure that he is taken care of. But it's a fear. I think it's a fear a lot of teachers have, and even a lot of parents have, when, maybe they have a diagnosis, or, the baby's not born. It's a fear because you don't know. So school community, we try to help as much as we can.
yeah, I mean, talking about stigma, I know that stigma it's still possible that some families are not really accepting the kids. Well, and maybe that is just like putting them in a box, like and that is not going to help because you need to first of all accept. I don't want to say heal because I know that the diagnosis. I know it can be like you're in shock, like you're in disbelief. You don't want to like accepted. You're like, God, why me? You're like crying every day. You're like, I don't deserve this, and you go on and on and on and. And so what I'm trying to say is it possible you have you come across any parent that like is living in denial?
I've come across parents that, I don't know about any parents living in denial, but some parents have a difficult time accepting. And but for those parents, like, there's no judgment. Like, we
Yeah.
all feel how we feel. Like, the parents that struggle with it, I just want to give them a hug, but I want to be the real person, because it's not all butterflies and rainbows all the time. I mean, we have our challenges and struggles, but we can do it. But I always acknowledge how people feel. Like, that's your feelings. This is still your child. You're still having to kind of, you do grieve. for the child that you thought that you were going to have and the things that you thought they were going to be able to do. So you do have that period. So I don't discount any of that. Like, I'm like, that's real. That's so real. And that's something that I don't think we talk about. And a lot of parents who have taken a different approach, maybe they're just like, oh, yep, I'm ready. They tend to be like, why aren't you happy? Well, you have to let them sit there and, understand and deal, and then form that network in those communities for parents to lift each other up. But I think that's an important part too, because we don't acknowledge sometimes when parents, you just be honest, like you may not be ready and you may be thinking way too far ahead. Like I always tell parents, like just one day at a time, because I do that too. I'm like, okay, I got a plan for college. He's 6, you know what I mean? But sometimes you think about that, because I have older children too. So I'm looking at paths that have already been I've seen, and for him it's going to be a little bit different. And so I'm always like looking at other things. Like I was talking the other day to a mom who her child is like independently, but with an aide in a home. Not a home, it's like he's independent. So it's close to where I live. I'm like, where is this? I'm researching the apartments and stuff. I'm like, and I am 6. But you can't help it. You can't help but plan. But we have to deal with those types of stigmas and things that people think automatically, because I think it's still, like you said, comes out of like ignorance and fear. Just don't know.
Yeah. Can you thank you so much, Meeka. I really am enjoying your story, because I know that we had a long talk yesterday, and I'm
Yeah.
trying not to skip the. I want you to share some. Yeah, you blew my mind yesterday. Come to think of it, so I want you to share some. I think you talked about a teacher that said one or two things. I can't remember what it was, but yeah, can you share with us how he was accepted? I know he's gone to like other schools, like from the first kindergarten school he went to when he started school too. Can you share how the school was kind of accepting? Like, yeah, I know some teachers don't want to deal with like our children. Like you said, they want to know, is it gonna be like the normal water training? Of course. Of
Hmm.
and they could ask silly questions like, is it gonna cry for food? Is it gonna like very question, right, like because they just don't know, right? So can you just share with me our acceptance has been for for Anayan in the school and community?
You know what? Like I said, I have been to school since he was 2 years old. And the school that he went to was pretty much, it's a smaller environment when he started. It was specifically like an integrated school. So they had some children with special needs and disabilities and some without. So it was a regular like preschool. So he was in a dedicated class though. He had like 4 teachers. They assisted him with all types of things like, his letters, numbers, everything everyone else does. And then the kindergarten was the challenge, because we were going to our public school. And I remember, like I said, reaching out to the school a year ahead, talking to like a speech person in the school. And I remember telling them like, oh, okay, well, my son will be here next year, just making sure like, how do you do speech? Because he's pretty much, primarily nonverbal at this time. At the time I was talking to this person. And I remember them saying, oh, well, he can't go here. And I was like, yes, he can. He's gonna go to school. I'm just giving y'all a heads up. And she's like, no, if he can't talk, he can't go here. But
Really?
I'm talking to the speech therapist
Wait a minute.
um,
You said you were talking to a speech therapist,
at the school.
and she said what?
She was like, he can't go here. Yeah. So I was a little confused, but I knew, he has a right to public education. Yeah.
As well.
You're like, ah. But yeah, our children have a right to free access to public education. And so I was like, well, he'll be here. So I'm just going to go ahead and register him. Those are the approach I took. But I also took time and like called the principal. I called the principal and I said, listen, I had my 3 babies were going there. So we were coming from a different school. It's like, I have 3 children coming here. Let me tell you about them all. And she was very receptive. And then when I got to 9, she was just like, oh. I'm like, no worries, no worries. We have a whole team. We're going to meet. We're going to talk this over. But it was a struggle, I tell you, just from sitting down we have IEP meetings, and trying to get them to understand, like, you can do this. I think everyone was so nervous. I remember people just, like, not being able to say words. And I finally asked them, like, what is the big deal? And they're like, we've never had anyone like this in our school. I was
Exactly.
like, ah, okay, well, he's coming. So, I mean, what do you want? We're just going to figure out. But I think a lot of the times with school and acceptance, they like to put the diagnosis before the child. So they
Hmm.
want to think about Down syndrome before they think about ABCs 1, 2, 3s. They think about, oh, what challenges I'm going to have, but you haven't had any yet. And I used to go under the table a lot, like under the table. I used to
I
get
know.
calls. Yeah, a nine's under the table. I'm like, get them out from under the table. Like, I don't know how we're doing this. Or,
Really?
yes. And it was just like
When it goes under the table,
under the table. A nine's under the table. Like,
he's
what do we do?
like acting his age. Anything?
Yeah, get it from under the table. Because a nine, and a nine's very smart. And I told them, I said, a nine understands if people are kind of like, I don't know how to act. Because then he'll do whatever he wants to do.
Yes.
He's under the table because he can be under the table. And because whatever you were doing before you got under the table, he didn't want to do. So what would you do? What would you do for another child in your school who does not have Down syndrome? What are you going to do if they're under the table? Yeah, it was so many things, and I think they thought first, oh, because of his Down syndrome, he got under the table. No, he's 5. He's 5. That's how 5-year-olds do. I'm sure during the course of the day, you had another child go under this table, or you had
Mhm.
another child that did something that he did, snatched a pencil, or messed up the bathroom when they went. But they always wanted to put that in front, the diagnosis in front. So it took a
Mhm.
little bit for acceptance for the school community because they were just trying to operate on a different mindset. But once
Yeah.
they got to know Anayan, then they were like, oh. And I was like, don't let him play y'all because he will do so. Like any
Yes.
other children, yeah, they test your limits. He's
Mhm.
testing limits. So it's like he's under the table. But so I had to send my husband to the school. He happened to be home that day. I said, please go to the school because Anand's under the table. They keep calling me. But as soon as Daddy walked in and Anand heard his voice, he scrambled from under that table, sat at the chair, grabbed his pencil and paper.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's it. So
That's it.
they need to learn to set boundaries and not look at our kids like they can never learn or they will always like be defiant. I don't know because they
Right.
think, how am I gonna like discipline a child with Down
Mm-hmm.
syndrome? I can't even deal, and that is already like someone saying no. Like I can deal with this, right? Yeah.
Right. Right.
Oh wow. So I'm sure they got on well after a while. And then you have to do a lot of teaching, a lot of educating, and I'm happy at least that and I know that there's always this problem with schools as well. Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that some of them say yes, we can deal with this, like
Mm-hmm.
to avoid abuse, mistreatment, and of course not knowing what the child is dealing with. Like some of our kids sometimes are very ill. You never know. You know,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes they have a high threshold to pain. I
Yes.
my daughter had a big fat boy on a butt. She was being told, sit down on the chair. And she tried to walk away, they drag her back, everything, all the things the teacher was trying to say was just sit down. And she never got to sit down. Eventually, she had a meltdown. And eventually, yeah, I just realized that there was no communication or interaction, and that's so bad because teachers, schools maybe are not like willing to like get more kind of training to be able to support children according to their individual needs. So it's all about okay. I just have wanted you to handle like three. I mean, 20 students, and that's gonna work. That's not gonna work if you have a child like with special needs in the class. And you were telling me that a speech therapist was telling you something like, is it that they don't even? They can't even try. So what are we going to say if a teacher who is supposed to impact knowledge is not willing to try? What are we going to say about people in the community? I want you to share. I know you've been doing a lot of great advocacy work in your community, and yeah, and because of your books, that's what I'm saying. So, and that's gonna like, educate a lot of parents, let them not feel alone, especially parents that have brown black children. When you know what I'm talking about, like that's your main target. Like you don't want them to feel alone, and yeah, I want to talk about the community. Do you think that um our kids with Down syndrome have more opportunities? Like, what do you think? What has been
Yeah, I
practiced?
think the thing is for us is to just simply get out into the community. So the same things that you would do, like if I'm signing the girls up for soccer or whatever for gymnastics, then I sign a nine up for whoever fits him.
Okay.
And it's surprising how some people just can do it because they just simply have a love for children, period. Like they're not thinking about that. When we put a nine in, when we was in Kung Fu, the girls were in gymnastics, and we thought, oh, well, we're coming to the facility anyway. Let's put them in Kung Fu. And it's always, I think we're always just kind of like, okay, what are they going to say when we say like an nine have Down syndrome? Because people, we tell them that because if they're calling a nine, sometimes he'll just be like, he won't even pay attention, or if they're looking for him to say something back. So we usually have to just kind of preface it, like he can understand every single last thing you say, and he can absolutely try his best to say it back. And he'll be showing you. We'll play like charades that we call like a nine charade. So he's trying to figure out what he's saying. But I was surprised after a while when you just do stuff, when you enroll them in things, when you take them places, people just usually just accept. I mean, the Kung Fu teacher was like, okay, no problem. I'm just gonna have to run a little bit more because nine used to just run off and
Is a
things
runner.
like that. Definitely a runner. So we would have to like warn people. But when you find those people who have a love for children, period, and who have a love for teaching and who have a passion for what they're doing, be it the Kung Fu instructor, the karate instructor, whatever it is, they're just ready and willing. And the thing out here is, okay, if you have any tips for me, mom, good. If not, we're just gonna roll with what we usually do.
Yeah.
And that happened like when we enrolled them for camp. I usually like to keep the kids in camp because I just have to drive to one location. And I found this awesome summer camp. And when we told them he had Down syndrome, they're like, okay. I was like, okay. And sometimes he runs, and they're like, okay. And I was like, and he's not potty trained. And they're like, okay. And I loved them ever since. Like I called them like, we ready for enrollment because we're going here, because it actually helped potty train. I was like, bring a week full of clothes. We're not even worrying about it. And even when he would act out a little bit, they were like, we don't kick any children from our camp. We're just going to keep redirecting and keep helping, and any tips you have. And I thought that was wonderful, because a lot of the times they like to discount and say, oh, he has Down syndrome, so it's going to be that behavior issue all the time. And they were like, no, we got it.
Hmm.
So yeah, so I appreciate those in the community, and I would just tell other parents, like, just get out there. If you want to have your child do ballet, whatever, be in the forestry class, be it whatever it is, enroll them. And that way you teach people, what it is. And that is really honestly no different than any other child, because you're
Hmm.
teaching, you're treating children individually anyway. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Not one child is the same. So
Hmm.
same case for him.
Absolutely. And that was my case with my. What you're talking about is just like you're trying to like paint the scenario I had with when I had to enroll my daughter into the ballet class. I realized that for the most part she would be left behind, so I had to get a personal instructor who
Hmm.
never seen a child with Down syndrome, but picked up interest in trying. And then I had to talk about redirecting behaviors, setting boundaries. I had to teach, I had to educate because
Yeah.
it's my child. So, I think parents have a lot of responsibility. Like, they have to be at the forefront always to be able to like speak up for the kids. And it's like today I met a parent in church, and apparently the child has autism, and she was all over the floor for the whole of the church, for the whole of the time. And Then the father said, "Did she do anything?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Were you expecting her to do anything?" He said, "Oh, no, no, nothing, nothing." So he didn't want me to talk or label his daughter, but I think it's better we kind of like speak up, speak out, so that people
Mm-hmm.
can and be proactive. Like I think it helps a lot. So really for me it's not about labeling our kids. It's about just letting people know, okay, just in case, this is the way she learns. This is the way when she says this is what she means to say and everything. And for the most part, I know that our kids with Down syndrome, like some of them might have hearing issues, vision issues. So as parents, I think we must understand our kids, because I,
Mm-hmm.
I know for sure that, letting them be in the community. And yeah, we're trying to we're going to talk about inclusion as well. We need to be aware of the fact that if people do not really understand, their learning style or whatever it is, our kids may be mistreated, they may be abused unintentionally. And how do we deal with this? Like, are we going to deal with that? And honestly, I know that the father didn't want me to talk about the diagnosis, and I wasn't really gonna like talk about it. I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted like to find a way around supporting his daughter, and that is, what I've really been talking about. Like especially when it comes to like, because I've seen all the kids not adding value. Maybe quickly we can talk about inclusion and how to help the community see the need for our kids to be involved in whatever it is. Like you talk about the kung fu thing. I think that's so like so amazing, So apart from them being part of like the sports, being part of education, there are many because they're gonna grow. We're gonna get stuck like, okay, what next? You know? And
Mm-hmm.
life of me, I know for sure that as they grow, the more they grow, they'll be like, they will know that they are being excluded.
Yeah.
They will see their mates, using iPhones, and they have nothing because people already feel, oh, they're already in the box. You have Down syndrome, and then they might even know they have Down syndrome. So how do you think that we can, apart from inclusion in schools, because we don't want to, if we start talking about schools, we're not gonna go today, right? So generally speaking, we need to like what's it called now? See into the future. I call it being
Mm.
proactive. Not that I'm worried, like you said. I know I've been worried about, oh, when she starts a menses, how's she gonna cope? Like she already started a menses when she was 9, and we're there. So every day we're learning how to be better. So how do you think we can begin, to fight for their future already, for
You
inclusion
know,
generally in our community?
yeah, I think it definitely starts now, of course, when they're younger. And what you were saying, um, like the iPhone and things like that, it's like just exposure. Just expose our kids to as many things as you can.
Mm,
But I think about like jobs, and I think about living, and I think about all those things. And what I do is like take the limits off. Like I know he'll drive one day because I don't, all my kids will drive. Now I'll still be afraid for each and every one of them when they first get their driver's license. But it's just about exposure and exposing the community to them. So, and when you have those inclusion settings, wherever you have them, you teach other people just the compassion, just the acceptance. You kind of force people into that position because he's there, like he's not going anywhere um, in the community. You know what I mean? We're in our neighborhood. Like he knows our neighborhood. He knows when we go home. He knows when we're at the store. And it's just like you said, like take the limits off. I don't have any particular limit for him at all. I'm still telling all my kids, you're not getting married to 35 and all that, all that type of stuff. He's included. You know what I mean? There's nothing that he can't do, especially like with our help. So I would hope that as many, parents that are watching that might have little ones and things like that, it's just exposure in your family, exposure out in the community. Talk about your children. You know what I mean? Talk about their accomplishments like you would do every other child.
Yeah,
And you can plan for the future. I mean, I try to get with like a network of moms or parents, and we talk about those things. So I try to jump on because it's real. It's planning for all of our children, but especially for Nyan, because there will be certain things that I'll have to set up for him that I necessarily don't have to set up for the girls. So it's just like that future planning that you have to do anyway, and it has to be particular, because
yeah.
of some laws. So you just have to make sure. Yeah. So
Based on his interest as well. Yeah.
yeah, and figure out what they want to do, and there's employment opportunities, all those. So you just have to kind of figure out what they like to do and how we're going to do this. But then I try to just step it back a little bit, like, okay, what are we doing today? Because it gets like a lot sometimes. But yeah, just exposure, just like anybody else.
Yeah, I think for the most part, I think we're struggling with that in Nigeria. Though we're working out at it. Exposure, yeah, we're working at it, and really, really and truly, we don't really have like employment opportunities as such,
Mm.
and there is no planning in place. And I know that it is important to set goals. You know about this, Chris? I got to know about Chris on Instagram. Chris, the Iron Man, first Iron Man.
Yes, 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 yes.
And then I went on his page and I saw that they had set goals for him
Hmm.
a year before he became the winner, of the Ironman competition. They had set goals for him, and you see those goals are what you want to like continue to like look at every time you see the child, every time you wake up, every time you want to do stuff with the child, and then you have to like keep at it, not give up. And so these
Hmm.
words are going out to everyone listening to us, like especially parents. I think setting of goals, particularly like my daughter, believes I'll never spank her, or maybe, oh, mommy's not gonna spank me again. But like, so what I'm trying to do with she's gonna be 10. What we're trying to do now is to set boundaries. Like I'm trying to be a lot more. She's here. She knows I'm talking about. But
It's like, don't be talking about me like I'm not standing here.
Hello.
okay,
Hi.
she's coming on my on our show. Say hi to everyone.
Hi.
Okay,
Hi, sweetie.
use
Yes, we
yourself.
go.
Can you tell us about yourself? Today's a special day. We have you on the show. So my name is
My name is Amamagin Benny.
okay.
I'm 10 years old.
You're not 10 yet. You're gonna be 10.
Mommy.
Okay.
She's 10 already.
Uh,
I'm a beggar in black.
our best color is black. Have you ever seen? I mean, who loves black really?
Me.
Right? I love black.
Okay. Okay. You want to go now?
Mommy.
You say bye bye.
You're like, I'm on camera now.
Hi.
Bye.
She loves coloring, so she was just looking at me when I talked about my daughter. So what we've been trying to do is to set boundaries because I realized that sometimes she just wants to like have a way. And if we don't do that, they're not gonna be able to cope like with teachers and
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Yeah, the thing I think the last thing we want to talk about is college.
Hmm.
Yeah, when you say college, because for us in Nigeria, we don't have the luxury, we don't have like yeah. So let me say in a nutshell that people with physical disabilities like have more like I think the government pays more attention to people with please can you please with physical disabilities.
Hmm.
Having intellectual disabilities doesn't mean that you cannot achieve anything in life. Um, I've seen like we had to set up a brigade band for some of the teenagers, and they're doing very, very well. You never know how far a child can go except you give them the chance. So, and that
Hmm.
I call opportunities. And can you just talk about how the kind of like what's it called now, vocations that they can find in colleges in the US.
You know what? There are some colleges, I think we were talking yesterday, that actually have space for, different students that, that learn differently. And it's kind of been highlighted like in the last couple of years that I've seen, again, like an I and six. So sometimes I don't always see these things. But also, sometimes when they're in elementary school, there's like another option you can have where your children will kind of learn like life learning types of things. So it might be geared towards like vocations. It might, um, a different academic level or a different academic path that they might have. And so I'm kind of learning about those things now, because sometimes you have to choose early. Like, is he going to get a, college degree? Or are you looking for a high school diploma college degree path? Or are you looking for, a certificate path that, might lead them to different opportunities? So you have to figure out, you have some time and you have to figure out what strength your child has and kind of where you want them to go. But it's also important because a lot of people push just simply for, inclusion, like just, we have to, and some children don't thrive in that environment. So it's always about the child, just always about the child. So if at any point I find like a nine needs a different path, we're gonna go that different path that he needs. It doesn't mean he's gonna need less support. We're just gonna do what he needs. So if it's college, if it's, finishing up high school in the traditional way, that's what we're going to do. If it's a different path, that's what we're going to do. But we always want to set them up for success like everyone else. So I'm looking forward to when, those things will become more solid to where I can say, okay, this is what we're going to do. Because we'll, like you said, make goals. We have to make goals, plan, so you can follow something like every year. Like I said, he's 6 now. So right now the goal really, we got to get through first grade. So then after that, then we'll see. But I feel like it's different now than it was back years ago when they were just putting our babies in institutions and thinking they can't learn, they can't do anything, they have no value in life, to now where things are a little bit more open. We're seeing opportunities for our children in the workplace. We're seeing opportunities for them in college, different careers, driving. We're seeing all those. We're seeing a full life like they should have, which in the past people were saying, oh, they're just not going to have a full life only because they have an intellectual disability, nothing else. And so they didn't give them those opportunities, which now we have more opportunities. So it's like, yes, now we need to just integrate and get in the community and be advocates so we can take part in all those resources and things.
Wow, amazing. Thank
I'm looking
you.
forward to it. You're welcome.
I mean, this is so inspiring because we're looking forward as well. Like we're far behind in Nigeria, but we know that we are hopeful with the work we're doing. Like speaking up, getting people like you to come on board, like to share your experiences, with us, and of course, like just letting people know that we love our kids. That's very important, and I see that a lot when people come out to talk about their kids, without being ashamed. We have to
Mm-hmm.
deal with a lot of shame in the past, and I see things looking up for persons with Down syndrome in Nigeria because a lot of people are not keeping quiet anymore just because I know that I know that this terrain is kind of tough. We when you say fight for your right, it doesn't really come easy like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much more kids, with Down syndrome, and that kind of like you know breaks my heart sometimes. Yeah. So we're about to wrap up now. You mentioned something about exposure, teach others the compassion. I really love that. When you said teach others the compassion, I know that there's so many times we need to keep talking about, how people need to treat our kids. But from your books already, I know, and thank you. You said you were sending us some. I can't
Yes, yes.
wait. I cannot wait to see them, and we're going to draw inspiration from your work. That is so amazing, because our kids they just want to leave. Like, they just want to leave. They just want to leave. And a lot of people forget that they're human beings first
Yeah.
before. like the way you were pregnant for a child without Down syndrome for 9 months was the same way, even though something went wrong and no one is to blame. And then, yeah, of course, we still have the people playing the blame game. This
Mm-hmm.
is not from, we don't have this child in my family. We have that a lot. Do you have something like that? People saying, okay, this child is not from my family. We don't have this kind of child. It must be your genes. Do you have stuff like that going on?
No, not in the family. I think it's coming from like outside from people that just don't know. Because I remember I got questions like, were you drinking? It's like, really? So,
See?
yeah,
Yeah,
we're doing that. So it was
that.
a lot of stuff. Like, were you drinking, or how old were you, or did you fall, or
Oh my
all of
gosh.
these things? Yes, and it's just like, okay, this is okay. All right, we're gonna answer these questions honestly, but it's like so many misconceptions, and then that's where the stigmas come from, and then that's where everything trickles down when you think that, like you said, play the blame game, and then there's so many different opinions out there. But honestly, just love on your baby, love on our children, love on our community. That's what we're here to do. And as much as work as you're doing in Nigeria, that's so awesome because your baby is 10 years old. So you've been hitting the ground since then and making change. And I know it feels good when you kind of see things happen. And it's awesome because this is not, we don't want to think that Down syndrome is in a bubble. It's not only in the US. It's not only in particular states. It's not only, it's everywhere. Anyone can have a child with Down syndrome. But the fact that you're doing this change in Nigeria is awesome because it will trickle across the globe. And then
Mm,
we'll have even more work to do, but you kept carved away.
yeah, thank you so much. Okay. One last word for parents watching. What do you have to say to them? What do you have to say about, them like stepping up the game to, you know, um, advocate for acceptance? Like, I'm tired of awareness. I know there's a lot of awareness going on. If you just Google Down syndrome, you everything about Down syndrome, but still, no matter how much you want to like drive awareness, there's still a lot of people that will not, believe you. Like, seriously, they will say, "Oh, no, like when people used to throw my flyers back in my face then, and oh no, don't bother telling me about this channel. No, 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 I don't want you. No, I don't want to know about it. No,
Mm-hmm.
it's not my portion in Jesus' name, and yeah, stuff like that. So no matter how much awareness we create, like you're not gonna force people like to believe, because people have a right to believe what they want to believe, But I believe so much now that it is time for us to start driving acceptance, like, you know, and and that is why I love to showcase a lot of their abilities, like what they're capable of doing, instead of, letting people put them in a box, and then we're trying to like ensure that their voices are heard eventually, because we're gonna grow old, and we want them to like be able to speak up for themselves. They don't have to have a word.
Mm-hmm.
Let people just respect them, because they have equal rights and should have equal opportunities. So I just want you to say me final words for parents.
Well, first, enjoy your baby, enjoy your child. You know what I mean? Enjoy all those years. And honestly, if you feel led, because I don't think we're all advocating for our children in our own ways and however you do it. And then, however you're led to do that as far as in your community and outward, just do it. We all have a voice and we all want to protect our children and make sure we have the best for them. And hook up with other parents, network. That's how I'm getting through. Like, I'm not a one person, I'm not doing it all by myself. So it's about building your own network of community of parents that understand where you are, where you've been, and then figuring it out from there. Because sometimes, like I said, you can't do it by yourself, and you need the help of other mothers who have been there and other mothers who are having babies. And I'm finding that if I meet someone that's having a new baby, there's so many new things out that I have no clue of because of 9 and 6. And then you have the parents that have older children that I'm asking for information and advice because I don't know what it's like at those particular ages. So really enjoy your babies. When you're ready, get with a group of families and parents and things like that. When you're ready, advocate outward and do what you can, but it'll come natural what you need to do and what you feel you have to do. That will come natural to you.
Mm. Wow. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Meeka. Thank you everyone for watching. You have been with us for the past 1 hour.
Yeah.
Today's topic, acceptance in my community. And I had with me today Meeka Caldwell, and she's been speaking for the past 1 hour, sharing from her heart. And of course, can we see your two books again?
Sure. So the first
Two
book.
books, I think it's Brown Baby, something like
Yeah.
that.
So you
So
can get these on brownbaby321.org. So we have two. This is a friend like Nine, first day of school, and this is the very first one I wrote. We do have signed copies, so if you ever opt for a signature, this is not just my signature. This is a Nyan's signature as well, and you're also helping him to write his name. So you're part of the learning too when you opt for a signature. So he writes in the books, and feel free. I mean, just excuse it because when he writes, you might get some scribbles in there as well. That's his signature. So, and then I sign it too. So if you ever need any of these books, and the third one is on the way, it's brownbaby321.org and wherever books are sold online.
wow, that is so amazing. Well done, Mika.
Thank
Thank
you.
you for what you're doing for our brown babies.
Yes.
Yeah, because we really need to put the word out there, and I want to say thank you again for coming.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I hope we can do this again, and I hope sometime to visit you and your children.
Yeah, I can't wait to have you in Nigeria when the world is healed of this
Yeah.
virus.
Yes,
Yeah,
that'll be fun. We'll plan
yeah,
that.
yeah. How is Anayan?
He's good. We're currently trying to find something for him to do today because he woke up very, 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 very early, and he's been on 1,000 ever since. So,
So you can try something like try to do PowerPoints of of all about me, and then maybe you can have some a nice time with that. I think, yeah, because that was the kind of project we had to do with Mo for the last quarter last year, and
mhm.
kind of she can like read up different things about herself. She loves ballet, so she has this picture of someone like a ballet dancer.
Yeah,
He loves kung fu.
yeah. He's a superhero fan, so he knows all of them. So he has outfits to match, and so we try to switch that into the learning too because he has books, but superheroes and playing video games.
Oh,
So our children are capable. He plays Roblox all the time.
oh.
So
Once again, I want to say bye. Thank you again, Mika. Thank you,
thank
everyone,
you.
for coming. And next, okay, bye.
See you later.
See you later. Bye. Thank you. I want to say a big thank you to everyone for watching on this third episode of My Child has Down Syndrome So Freaking What. So we've come to the end of the show. Have a nice week. And yeah, tomorrow is match. And yeah, we're gonna be like slamming your timelines with Down syndrome awareness stuff like information. And I'm gonna be reposting because your Instagram is on private, Mika. But I'm gonna
Oh,
be yeah,
okay.
I tried to repost one of your posts, but I couldn't.
Oh,
So
I have to fix that.
let us work together this March. It's going to be awesome. We're going to create more awareness and acceptance, of our kids. So eventually people will see what they're capable of doing. Thank you, everyone, and have a nice week. Have a nice month. Bye bye. All right. I see you guys. Every time we come here, we're here because we're trying to like educate people out there on Down syndrome, and these are sometimes curious conversations going on with or candid conversations as well, about individuals with Down syndrome. Well, I hope you enjoyed this session with Mika. Thank you for staying tuned and join us next time. My name is Tola Makinde. God bless you. Bye bye. Thank you, Ayo.